holds up a mirror to America and shows everybody what we're all thinking. And it was amazing when he's performing in front of a couple thousand people in Currituck, North Carolina. The song hasn't even been out for a week, and the people in the crowd knew the words.
My God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay.
It's unbelievable.
And are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
I love it. I love it. I mean, it gives me chills every time I hear this song. It got to the point over the weekend where the guitar string would hit, and I knew my wife was somewhere in the house giving me an eye roll because I kept having this song on repeat. But I couldn't help it. I mean, the man says so much in such a little amount of time.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Want to know what you think, want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
I mean, right there. They want to know what you think, they want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. It is like, whoa. I mean, think about the technology age that we live in. Think about artificial intelligence. Think about all the backdoors that the government has on all of our devices. They can watch you type in real time if they want to. They can pull every internet search history of you ever. They can build a profile. They probably have built a profile on all of us. And we know that. And we know that. But it's so hard to say that in what did he do? 6 seconds. In 6 seconds, he puts that in the most palpable terms.
Want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
It's unbelievable. And it takes a song like this to cross that barrier of left and right. People will say it's a political song. He doesn't attack either political party. He attacks the elite. And I think that this song is a huge, huge culture win for us. And we need to celebrate this. Because he says all the things that we're all thinking. And he says it so quickly. It's a 3-minute song, but he nails it time after time.
God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds.
If you're 5'3" and you weigh 300 pounds, my taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. It's just a total critique of the culture that we live in. We have so much money in debt, but we're going to fund, through welfare, a 300-pound person buying fudge rounds at the store. We all know exactly who he's talking about. We have all seen that person at the grocery store. But he just nailed it in 7 seconds. It's unbelievable. And everybody saw it. Everybody saw it happen in real time, which is my favorite part about this. And not only does it go number 1 on iTunes, but 2 of his other songs also crack the top 10. I was reading about him, watching all of the stuff he's put out. None of this stuff was even on streaming platforms when it went viral. He had to scramble at the last minute to get this song on iTunes, get it on Spotify, get it on Yahoo Music, because it was just a song. It's unreal.
So it was just the YouTube video? Or?
So when the West Virginia Public Radio station that originally posted the video started going viral, he scrambled to get this on streaming services. It wasn't even available. That's how organic this was. And I love it. I love every single minute of this song. It's one of my favorites. And it's so good. I'm going to play it one more time, and then we'll be back with more on The Chris Hand Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't this shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, know the rich men. I wish politicians would look out for miners, and not just miners on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't this shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of rich men. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay.
Hey, it's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center. Now, I know so many people that have dealt with opioid addiction, family, friends. It's scary. It's awful. It's something you don't want to see. And that's why I'm such a big supporter of the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin, because no pills necessary, no matter what kind of pain you're dealing with. Back, neck, knee, hip, elbow, all of it can be treated with no needles and no downtime. At the Dr. Gill Center, we've been helping people get back to a pain-free life for over 30 years. And right now, the Dr. Gill Center wants to give you a special offer if you're suffering with pain and looking for non-surgical solutions. So here's the deal. $49. That's it. It'll get you your initial examination, your x-ray, and a complete review of findings. So less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain and how to fix it. Give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call now and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. Call 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838. And tell them Chris Hand told you to call. Remember, guys, don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill.
Got a crash getting in the way on I-40 eastbound west of Nashville. This is at Kingston Springs, Ashland City Highway 249, exit 188. And this is no joke. This is a 66-minute delay. Thousands of gallons of diesel fuel has spilled in Hermitage. Got a cookie dough recall and tributes pouring in for the man known as the godfather of black music. These stories and more at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do.
That's Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 928. We posted the video on our Facebook page, Super Talk 99.7 on Facebook, and it's on my Twitter or my X account. I feel weird saying X account.
Yeah.
Sounds like dirty.
Sticking with Twitter.
Yeah, so it's on my Twitter account, at Chris Hand on Air. But this song, you guys, oh my gosh. So a listener sent in that he actually currently has 5 songs in the top 10 on iTunes right now. Unbelievable. Some of the big things in the song that he mentions, everybody took offense to the Fudge Rounds clip. But I don't think it's an anti-fudge rounds. It's anti-tax dollars paying for your fudge rounds. But the big lines in the song that are getting a lot of attention are this one.
Wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere.
Oh my gosh. He is a beast. How can you say basically all of the things everybody knows in 7 seconds?
And make it catchy.
So well done. The song's on our Facebook page. I did want to also point out that one of my favorite lines was, he talking about the suicide epidemic in men. Good men are burying themselves 6 feet in the ground because all this country does is keep kicking them down. There's absolutely a suicide epidemic going on in our country, and nobody wants to talk about it. I've lost so many good friends. 2 of them come to mind who have had young kids, and it's so sad. There's absolutely a suicide epidemic, and nobody talks about it. We focus on the fluff, and we focus on all the fake stuff, and until a song like this comes along and, puts it into perspective in 3 minutes flat. So Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. It's on our Facebook page right now if you want to check out the video. And it's also on my Twitter account, at Chris Hand on Air. It is 9:30, time for the news.
(9:30) on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got a 43-minute delay eastbound 40. This is going to be west of Nashville. 40 eastbound, you got a crash reported there at Kingston Springs, Ashland City Highway 249, exit 188. It is stop and go from the Williamson-Cheatham County line. Traffic being directed around a crash in Hermitage where Channel 4 says a tanker truck overturned, spilled about 1,200 gallons of diesel fuel there at Central Pike and Old Hickory Boulevard. Got a food recall. Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie dough with best buy dates of August 22nd and October 22nd might have wood fragments in the dough. Nestle says you can take it to the store you bought it for a replacement or refund. Entertainment news, the man who is known as the godfather of black music has died. Clarence Avant, 92 years old. Avant's influence extended to sports, where he helped running back Jim Brown transition from football to acting, and he produced a primetime television special for Muhammad Ali. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies. What happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that, is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Love Todd. Todd. So good. Wow.
That this effort is to appease Republicans and Democrats, and it represents the worst of Washington, D.C. He said it represents the uniparty. I know Matt Murphy hates the word uniparty. I happen to think that there is a uniparty in Washington, D.C. And Moreno went on to say, our simple explanation is that they're going to use that money to support Americans in America. I'm very empathetic to the people of Ukraine, but at the end of the day, I'm dramatically more concerned about the people in America. He also added to try to tie both things together and have one vote to give both sides cover is exactly what's called the uniparty. And that way, we can say, I voted for disaster relief in Maui and East Palestine. These things should be separated. There should be rules in Washington, D.C., where politicians are forced to vote on one specific topic at a time so that we know how people vote and how they feel about that one topic, and they can't be hide behind these commingling of bills, which is ridiculous. And he's absolutely right. It absolutely is ridiculous. When I was in music radio, so in music radio, you only get 10 seconds to talk, which, as I'm sure you can tell by my show, that's a hard thing for me to do. So you'd have 10 seconds to talk, and all the program directors would say, one thought per break, one thought per break. And I feel like we could use that in Washington, D.C. One thought per bill. Ukraine and Maui and the border, nothing to do with each other. Nothing. And again, I think we need help at the border. And Maui needs aid. Good things. I'm not mad about it. And we can all agree that the border is a mess. I mean, hell, even Chuck Todd over the weekend on NBC basically said Greg Abbott was right about the border.
City's growing humanitarian crisis, the shelter system slammed by an influx of migrants. The new calls for federal help. I guess Greg Abbott was right.
Oh, did you hear that?
I guess Greg Abbott was right.
You can hear it pain him in his voice to say it.
I guess Greg Abbott was right.
Yeah, they didn't care about the border until it started affecting their blue cities. Maui, however, I worry about how that money will be spent and where it will be spent. I worry it won't reach the people that need it. And I'll tell you why I worry about that. Senator Mazie Hirono is already blaming the wildfires on climate change.
Experts warn that extreme disasters such as this one are only becoming more common because climate change is fueling stronger storms, hotter temperatures, more widespread droughts. And earlier this week, President Biden incorrectly claimed he had already declared a climate emergency, which would give him additional powers to combat the climate crisis. Given what you're seeing on the ground, do you want President Biden to actually declare a climate emergency?
I think that we very, very much need to acknowledge that climate change is upon us. There are whole states, by the way, Jake, where you can't even use the words climate change because they still have a hit in the sand attitude.
There's whole states where you can't even use the word climate change. Did you know that? Did you know it? Did you know it's illegal to say the words climate change in some states? Unbelievable. And this is the leadership in charge of Hawaii. But you got to have more money. Got to have more money for climate change. And Mazie basically says we've already spent a bunch of money for climate change, but we're going to need more. But
for example, the Inflation Reduction Act provided some $300 billion to combat climate change and
that's exactly what we're talking about. Commingling of bills is a bad thing. Why should the Inflation Reduction Act have, committed that much money to fight climate change? It doesn't make any sense. Inflation reduction, fighting climate change. One thought per bill, please. Can we get one thought per bill?
Move us away from continuing reliance on fossil fuels. Yes, there is more that needs to be done, and there will be lessons learned from this ongoing tragedy for the other counties.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more to be done. What does she think we can do to fight climate change? Even if we're operating from the position of climate change is real, which I don't subscribe to that. What are they going to do? You're going to block out the sun like you're Monty Burns? Are you going to, build a big wall so the wind can't get Hawaii? I just don't understand what these people actually think that they can do to fight climate change if we're operating from the position that it's real. I fear that some of the internet rumors about climate lockdowns could be coming, especially if President Biden declares a climate emergency. Oh, we gotta flatten the curve of emissions, right? So everybody go in your house for 2 weeks. You can't even act like that's a crazy idea anymore after what we've seen these past few years. But the Democrats are insane. They're absolutely insane. Mazie Hirono is absolutely off her rocker, but like good Democrats do, they never let a crisis go to waste.
So we need to be assessing our ability to contend with these kinds of natural occurring disasters, which we are seeing more of, and the frequency and the damage that is done. Clearly, this is happening all across the world.
Oh yeah, we have to do something about climate change. Again, what are we going to block out the sun? Are we gonna go full Mr. Burns in the Biden administration and block out the suns? I know Bill Gates has a great idea about that, but it just seems weird. It seems forced. The climate change narrative just feels so forced. And I've seen a lot of the conspiracy theories on the internet about what exactly happened in Maui. I see the people talking, saying that this doesn't feel organic. All the things about the fire department not being equipped, all the things about it possibly being direct energy weapons, and intentionally setting the fires. Listen, that very well could be true. I don't have any evidence to prove it, but I always think that it would be a lot easier for a person with a match than a laser beam in the sky. However, I will concede direct energy weapons are real, and all you need to do to prove that is hop on Lockheed Martin's website because they have a whole page on their lasers that you can strap to drones and airplanes, and it's all right there in the open. They talk about it. It's there. But, that aside, the amazing real estate that was destroyed, that was only in the hands of islanders, and Oprah Winfrey's house not being touched by these wildfires. Yeah, very, very coincidental, very eye turning, right? Like you got to look at it, but I don't think that there's anything concrete that we can say, haha, we got him. Like I think that even if it was arson, I think that it would be a lot easier to say it was a guy with a match than it was a direct energy weapon satellite from the sky. Just me. Sometimes the simplest explanation makes the most sense. I do disagree with Senator Mazie Hirono's claim that this is climate change. Like, no. It's like in 2919 pointed out that Mazie Hirono said it herself that these events are natural. Yeah. It's so true. I don't subscribe to the fact that this is climate change. But they didn't really say how the fire started. It's been loosey-goosey on information coming out of there, just that it's a humanitarian crisis and we all need to help. So, I don't know what that means. I don't think it's climate change. I don't think it's direct energy weapon satellite lasers from space. Although, listen, I'm not going to rule it out. If I was a foreign country and I'm trying to attack America, well, that seems like a pretty easy thing. If I'm China, like why not? But I don't see the evidence pointing to that being the case in Maui. I just don't. 615-737-9986. If you want to be a part of the conversation. 1833 said, just curious, don't solar panels require sun? They do. They do. So blocking out the sun, going full Monty Burns to fight climate change, it's going to have a negative impact on the solar panels. And all those kids in the Congo mining for those rare earth minerals, they're going to be out of work. So what are you going to do about that? Got to get those kids back to work, right? It is 9:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Thanks for being here. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler Inc. I'm a husband and a father to 4, so financial stability, as you can imagine, massive priority. I've already been having nightmares about paying for weddings and possibly college down the road for any of my kids that may want that. And, that's a daunting task when you have 4 kids. But luckily, I linked up with Paul Winkler and his team. Now, the government regulators do government things, and I have to tell you that I'm paid every time this commercial airs. But I will be honest with you. It's because I got to sit down with Paul, talk with him, and have my financial questions answered. That's why I decided to become a client myself. I'm impressed with Paul. He's a smart guy. He's honest. I feel like I'm a good judge of character. And after we talked and laughed together, I trust him. I really do. And he's made my financial goals far more realistic by explaining what to do and why. And his investment education is evidence-based, and it's backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. So if you don't have a plan and your last name isn't Biden, I suggest that you check out Paul Winkler and his team. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest because experience just equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members. Set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
Things have gotten a lot better on I-40 eastbound west of Nashville. What once was a 66-minute delay looks like it's been cleared right there at Kingston Springs. And we got a report from the courthouse in Atlanta coming up where another indictment of former President Trump might come today. These stories and more at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. And I think everybody owes Ken Weaver a big thank you because clearly his traffic report a little while ago made everybody avoid the area, and that's why it got cleared up so quickly.
Yeah, that was turning out to be a mess.
Yeah, dude.
Remember they had that, it was there on Friday. Had a big crash there.
It's unreal. It's like in traffic in Nashville, it's like nothing's happening. Hey, you're not leaving for about an hour.
Yep, you're trapped.
It's so crazy. All right, so Ken Weaver's got the news coming for you at 10 o'clock. I want you to join the show. Anything you want to talk about, 615-737-9986. We got a ton of stuff to get to. I was just saying to Mac off the air, how is an hour already gone by on the Chris Hand Show? It's insane. So we're going to cover the events in Iowa over the weekend. We're going to cover Hunter Biden and all of his shenanigans. And there are shenanigans. And I did want to point out, the Democrats seem to be turning on Joe Biden. This is Dean Phillips over the weekend. He's a Democrat out of Minnesota who also happens to sound like Darren from Bewitched.
I don't think the president is corrupt. I think the investigation will show that. But, and this is the important part, it's the image. It's what the news will do. We know what era we live in partisanship.
Oh, yeah. The news is going to be the one that makes the Bidens look corrupt. Thank you, Darren. Thank you. I mean, this guy is so out of touch, but at least he's sharp enough to realize there's blood in the water, and he knows that the time is now to get Biden out as the nominee. Matt Murphy says it all the time. He doesn't think that Biden is going to make it to the election, and it seems like Dean Phillips agrees with him.
And I want to say this about Democrats. It's really important. Joe Biden right now is down 7 points in the 4 swing states that will decide the next election. He has historically low approval numbers, Chuck. There are about 55% of Democrats would like to see an alternative. I can keep going down the list.
He can keep going. The list is long. Joe Biden is floundering at best, dead in the water at worst. So, are the Democrats going to make a change? I think they should if they want to have any chance of winning in 2024. Because as you'll see when we cover what happened in Iowa over the weekend, the support for Trump is real. And I don't think you can win another campaign from your basement. Just me. It is 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Find me off air. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social. All of them are at Chris Hand on air. And right now, time for the news.
Ten o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And we could have a round of severe weather on the way today. Tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Atlanta, Aaron Katursky covering alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election results in Georgia.
It's hard to think of any defendant, much less a former president of the United States, facing criminal charges in 4 places at the same time. But that is the very real possibility for Donald Trump as soon as today. After a 2.5-year investigation, sources telling ABC News the district attorney here in Atlanta, Fani Willis, is going to begin presenting her case to a grand jury this morning.
Right now in Tennessee, we're following reports of a possible fentanyl overdose at the Putnam County Jail. Fox 17 says 4 inmates were treated, then taken to the ER. None of them have serious injuries, according to deputies. And right now in Knoxville, Peyton Manning returning to UT as a faculty member. The NFL Hall of Famer, former national championship winning Vols quarterback's been appointed a professor of practice in the College of Communication and Information. He's going to teach sports reporting, video production and performance, leadership and communication and public speaking starting this semester. A teenager says he's lucky to be alive after visiting the Grand Canyon's North Rim, trying to take a selfie.
Taking pictures with my cell phone and my camera, and then I went all the way up onto the very top of the point.
14-year-old Wyatt Kaufman says that's whenever he moved to let other tourists take pictures, and then he fell 100 feet.
I almost died. I was like inches away from death.
Well, emergency crews started working to rescue him, and they did so 2 hours later. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Here we go. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, I said I wasn't going to do it, but Ken, we're getting a lot of texts in here, man.
Yeah, I figure.
And anything you want to clear up, buddy?
Well, I'm sorry the Vols didn't win the national championship there in 1997, but I tried to make it happen by erroneously reporting they did.
All right. Well, you know. Listen.
That year went to Michigan and the Cornhuskers.
All right. Even goats like Ken Weaver are allowed to make a mistake.
You know what, though? I got to say, I've got to be honest. I thought he won the championship his senior year. I just thought that he won a national title.
So close.
Nah.
T. Martin.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right. Well, Ken.
Yeah, he's still an NFL Hall of Famer, though.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Tom Brady's still way better.
Oh, my gosh. He's a Patriots fan. Oh,
all right,
geez.
but moving on. We're not going to talk sports on a news station, all right? But people that wish they were winning, leads us right into a great radio segue for what happened in Iowa over the weekend. Because, man, Ron DeSantis, he really wishes he was winning a lot more than he's been winning lately. And the wins have been few and far between for old Ron lately. Governor Ron DeSantis clearly outshined by Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans at the Iowa State Fair on Saturday, which is such a weird thing to say. I didn't know Iowa had many MAGA Republicans, but apparently they do. Here's the crowd. Here's the crowd for Donald Trump. Yeah, they're pumped to see him. I mean, they showed up in the thousands when he arrived. And now, just for contrast, here was the crowd for Ron DeSantis. Okay, you ready for the contrast? You ready, Mac?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We want Trump.
So he couldn't even walk around without people harassing him.
Well, I thought at one point he was even making hot dogs and burgers, and people were still chanting Trump.
And when he was so when he was grilling pork chops, Trump flew Trump Force One directly overhead.
Yes, that's right.
The troll job was just on another level. Now I'm going to remain impartial, as I always do. When it comes to Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yeah.
I don't ever let anybody know how I feel.
No.
Yeah, I want you to make your own decision. But listen, Diet Bush couldn't get a word out while he was grilling pork chops because they were just chanting, "We want Trump." Trump's plane flew overhead in the ultimate troll job. And then there was even a plane flying overhead with a banner behind it that said, "Be likable, Ron."
Oh, gosh.
It gets nasty there at the Iowa State Fair, man.
It's like the Iowa State Fair is like contested territory. It's like the West Side Story of politics. Like people are snapping and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They're ready to go. And Trump was asked about the size of Ron DeSantis's crowd. And this is what President Trump had to say.
USA 2, do you have a message for him? I get a very small crowd. We only had a few people show up. It's a big difference.
Very small crowd.
I love the brutal.
The man's a master.
The brutal honesty.
USA 2, do you have a message for him? I get a very small crowd. We only had a few people show up. It's a big difference.
Big difference. Oh,
That's what cracks me up. He was asked, do you have a message for him? And he says, you got a very small crowd.
Very small crowd.
It was so funny. Very small crowd. And when he did have a crowd, they were chanting. Just pull out of the race, Ron. Come on, man. Mike Pence has a better chance than Ron DeSantis at this point.
Whoa.
Well, neither of them have any chance.
Yes.
But Ron is just shooting himself in the foot. The longer he stays in this race, the less of a chance he has at a thriving political career. I firmly believe it. He is not winning over a Trump supporter. The majority of the Republican base is full on Trump supporters right now. And Ron has very small crowds at the Iowa State Fair. Very small. Very small. On the flip side, thousands are rolling up just to see Trump arrive at the Iowa State Fair. Thousands. And Trump is rolling up with all of the other Florida Republicans. Even the Florida Republicans are rolling deep with Trump. You got them all. Anna Paulina, you got Matt Gaetz, even Greg Steube was with Trump. And Greg Steube, who filed impeachment articles against the president last week, said this when he was with Donald Trump.
People, he's tough, he's strong, and he's got a big future. Greg Steube, come on, everybody. Come on. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm honored to be on Team Trump. Yesterday, I filed impeachment articles against Joe Biden.
The people want him impeached.
How many of you think we should impeach Joe Biden? That's what I'm saying. Next day, man, I'm honored to be on Team Trump. Trump.
All right, the people of Iowa love Trump. They love the idea of impeaching Joe Biden. And that's where we're at. It's amazing. And Greg Steube again, he did file impeachment for Joe Biden. In a press release, Steube said Biden has undermined the integrity of his office, brought disrepute on the presidency, betrayed his trust as president, and acted in a manner subversive of the rule of law and justice at the expense of American citizens. The evidence continues to mount by the day. The Biden crime family has personally profited off Joe's government positions through bribery, threats, and fraud. Joe Biden must not be allowed to continue to sit in the White House selling out our country. Yeah. Nailed it, and the crowd went wild. In a social media post on Friday, Stubbe again listed bribery, extortion, obstruction of justice, fraud, financial involvement in drugs and prostitution as reasons for impeaching Joe Biden, and added it's long past time to impeach Joe Biden. But while all that's happening, you know, Donald Trump, he's got all these indictments, and he was asked at Iowa whether or not he would take a plea deal, you know, a la Hunter Biden. Would you take a plea deal, President Trump?
Yes, you take a plea deal. In Georgia?
We did nothing wrong, and we don't ever take a plea deal.
Yes, sir.
We don't take plea deals. It's a wise guy question.
Are you going to change
It's
this?
the wise guy. We don't take plea deals because I did nothing wrong. It's called election interference. You know what that is? Because these indictments are brought out by Biden, who can't even put two sentences together. This is Joe Biden, because he can't win the election by himself. He can't win the election based on votes. So what they did is they got the Attorney General to do it. And then you see how stupid they acted yesterday with the appointment of the special counsel. Call it special counsel. And what a crazy thing that was. And it's being laughed at all over the world. The fact is that we have a country that's in serious trouble. We have a country that's in major decline. I don't mean decline, I mean major decline. And we're going to straighten it out. This group and a lot of people just like this group, we're going to straighten it out, and we're going to make America great again. Yes, wise guy. Thank you very much.
That's a wise guy question. No plea deals. We didn't do anything wrong. I love the response from President Trump. No plea deals. Why am I going to plea out to a crime I didn't commit? I love it. Very happy about that. 615-737-9986 if you want to be a part of the conversation. 9062 texted in and said, it's terribly disappointing that Republicans are acting like Democrats in Iowa. I mean, 9062, I get where your head's at. For me personally, I don't think Ron should have ever entered the race when he told everybody that he wasn't going to. Stick to your word.
Are they referencing them? Is 9062 referencing the yells of Trump while DeSantis is up there?
That's how I'm taking it. I'm taking it as how, maybe clear it up, 9062. Maybe you weren't referencing that. 5143 said, Trump zombies, getting to hate him a little more every day is a circus of brainwashed, pathetic Republicans led by a loose-mouthed, narcissist, selfish, immature old man. I'm a conservative. Okay. As much as anyone else. Voted for him twice, but can't be fooled this time around. Who else are you going to vote for? Who else is there with even a fighting chance? I don't think Ron DeSantis is the answer. And if he was, people would have gravitated towards him. Instead, the only people that gravitate towards him at the Iowa State Fair are to scream and shout that we want Trump. I'm not mad at it. John, 0973, texted in and said, Chris, Ron should drop out and steer his supporters to Trump. Oh, wait, never mind. I think that's the only way that Ron DeSantis can save his political career at this point. And again, people hate Trump's attitude. They hate his loudmouth. I get that. Like, that's totally fine. My wife doesn't really like it either. I personally think it's funny. And sometimes I'm here for the lulls. You know, I'm here for the LOLs instead of taking things so seriously. And that's one of the reasons why I do like Trump. I think politics is just a clown show, and it's just we're only laughing at it. And to mock them relentlessly, that's the only thing that these people understand. That's the currency they dabble in. They want to be revered and loved and respected, so mock them ruthlessly when they do something wrong. That's my idea. I think that's the only way to make things happen. Now, you know, there were other presidential candidates there. Vivek Ramaswamy was there, and he wasn't mocked ruthlessly because people think he's an authentic person. I think that's the biggest difference between Vivek and Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis doesn't feel authentic. Ron DeSantis feels like he was built in a lab to be Diet Trump, and he's really like a Diet Bush. I think that he's backed by the same neocons that backed the Bushes, and I'm very anti-neocon. Vivek, on the other hand, not heckled at all, because the man stands on his own 2 feet. He has his own opinions, and he's able to deal with people in a very, very respectable manner. He was actually handling the opposition crowd in Iowa very well. He was asked and interviewed by a pansexual You can Google what it means. I wasn't very sure, don't really care. But he's interviewed by a pansexual to ask about the LGBT alphabet mafia.
What were your opinions on the LGBTQ plus community?
Well, I don't think it's one community.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, how could it be? Just mashed together an alphabet soup. Trans is fundamentally in tension with gay, if you ask me. But what's your opinion?
I'm personally pansexual, so I was
Okay.
just wondering what your views on same-sex couples were.
I don't have a negative view of same-sex couples, but I do have a negative view of a tyranny of the minority.
I love what he said there. The tyranny of the minority. You know, we often get called the silent majority in the country, and the tyranny of the minority is a very, very real thing, where it's like, hey, just let us get married. Hey, just let us indoctrinate your kids in schools. It's the tyranny of the minority, and Vivek goes into it even more.
So I think that in the name of protecting against a tyranny of the majority, and there are times in this country's history where we have had a tyranny of the majority, we have now, in the name of protecting against tyranny of the majority, created a new tyranny of the minority. And I think that that's wrong. I don't think that somebody who's religious should be forced to officiate a wedding that they disagree with. I don't think somebody who is a woman who's worked really hard for her achievements should be forced to compete against a biological man in a swim competition. I don't think that somebody who's a woman that respects her bodily autonomy and dignity should be forced to change clothes in a locker room with a man. That's not freedom, that's oppression.
And I love the way he handles it. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't get loud. He doesn't scream at this woman. He just answers the question. He does a great job. And he goes on and he says, you know, this tyranny of the minority, it's a real thing that we're facing, but, you know, it's really a problem when it goes away from adults and starts affecting kids.
And so I believe that we live in a country where free adults should be free to dress how they want, behave how they want, and that's fine. But you don't become oppressive by foisting that on others. And that especially includes kids, because kids aren't the same as adults.
Kids aren't the same as adults. Thank you. Finally. Listen, I'm always fine with an adult making a mistake for themselves and learning things the hard way. By all means, if you want to screw up your own life, I am not going to tell you not to. And you may feel like you're liberating yourself. That's great. But it's different when it starts affecting the kids.
And so I think adults are free to make whatever choices they want, but do not foist that ideology onto children before children are in a position as adults to make decisions for themselves.
Amen. You can't get a tattoo as a kid. You can't eat ice cream all night for dinner, because you're not old enough to make those kinds of decisions. You're not mature enough. But the left will tell you that they're mature enough to mutilate their genitals and make themselves sterile for the rest of their lives, if they decide to wear a dress at 3 years old. It's so funny. My kids were playing dress-up costumes over the weekend. We have a big costume closet full of superhero costumes and princess dresses from when my daughter was tinier. And there's some princess high heels. And one of my boys put on the high heels. I looked at my wife and said, "He's lucky he's not in the wrong family." Because we would have embraced him for being so progressive and brave. It's just such a different way of living. But Vivek, consider this panhandled because he basically tells this woman very succinctly everything he believes, and he may have even won over a voter. Listen to the end of this.
And so I think a lot of the frustration in the country, and if I'm being really honest, that I also share, comes from that new culture of oppression where saying those things can actually get somebody punished. And in my case, it's part of why it's my responsibility to say them. And I respect that you may have a different opinion, and that's okay. It's part of what makes our country great is that you and I can be civil and have this conversation, and that we live in a country that still gives us, each of us, the right to speak to a presidential candidate and back, and
Amen.
Still say that we pledge allegiance to the same nation. So I think that's the beauty of our country, and that's my honest opinion.
Awesome. Well,
Thanks.
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you for your civility as well. I appreciate it.
And I think that he may have won over the pansexual. Consider that panhandled. It is 10:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Thank you for being here.
Got a war on Ukraine update coming. China is sending its defense minister to Russia for some sit-down meetings. This story and more at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 10:25 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We were talking about the going on at Iowa, the Iowa State Fair over the weekend. You know, every political candidate in the world just flies in there and, you know, does their thing, except for Joe Biden. He went to the beach again.
Again?
Weird. Yeah, of course.
Does need some rest. He needs to relax.
He's all tuckered out. It's been a big week.
He's just standing in a sandbox.
He's just like looking at the ocean.
Every now and then they'd spray him with the hose.
Looks at Jill, says, "Which way do I go?"
It's windy today.
It's like, I wonder if like he like falls asleep while tanning and Secret Service has to like go check on him to make sure he's still breathing. Like, you okay, Mr. President? All right, he's good. We're good. We're good.
What?
Throws the beach ball and expects it to come back.
Beach is hard. Hard work.
Yes, it is. Just ask Ken.
Yeah. All right. So, you know, a lot of people, we're talking about Iowa. People are texting in 615-737-9986. Somebody texted in. He said he had a critique on Trump. He said, when Trump acknowledges Operation Warp Speed and how big of a disaster it was, he might earn my support back. He needs to acknowledge all of the middle-aged adults dropping like flies with heart problems. That was 9384. Now, I want to address this because it's one of the things that I also critique Trump on. I never liked Operation Warp Speed, but I do want to point out there's a big difference between making the vaccine available and mandating the vaccine, which is what the Biden regime did. Trump made it an option. Biden took that option away and said you had to get it. And a lot of employers followed suit. It was a crazy moment in time. The vaccine ended up not working, didn't stop transmission, didn't stop you from getting it. So it was a big waste. And you can point at Trump and say, yes, you know, it started with Operation Warp Speed. And I'll give it to you, you know, yeah, I think that he needs to acknowledge it. But again, he was also acknowledging that ivermectin was working. He was also acknowledging that there were other things out there, like the, I just had the word in my head, the plasma. They would do the plasma swaps. I know that's not the technical term for it. Anyway, he was also acknowledging that there were other things out there to help with COVID at the same time. A lot of people agree that Operation Warp Speed was a mistake on the super text line. And I think that it was one of his ways to try and speed up getting the country back open. Was it short-sighted and a mistake? I think so. Monoclonal antibodies. Thank you, 9492. Monoclonal antibodies. This is why I love the super text line. We can crowdsource info in real time, and God bless you, 9492.
Within seconds.
Within seconds.
It's
it was
awesome.
like on the tip of my tongue, and I could not remember what it was. So yes, monoclonal antibodies. So Trump is also out there, you know, making a vaccine available for those who wanted it. He was also pushing ivermectin, pushing monoclonal antibodies, and giving people a choice, which is one of the things that I think is huge. He wanted to give people a choice. He didn't want to take the choice away. You know, he never mandated it. That was Joe Biden. 5143 says Trump created the Fauci, the monster. Huge mistake. Yeah, also a huge mistake. But I think one of the things that Trump won't find in his second term is that he won't be fooled by these bureaucrats the same way he was the first time around. I think that if Trump gets back in, he goes full scorched earth, and he's just going to trust his gut. Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping. Wendy texted in, Montiflobal antibodies. Yeah, I think that was the technical term, Wendy. Montiflobal antibodies.
It's a good one, Wendy.
That may have been a text-to-speech faux pas.
Yes.
Montiflobal antibodies. Yep. John texted in and said, Chris, Biden is a deeply compassionate leader with profound insight. Thanks. He said on the Maui disaster, we're looking into it. Yep. Biden is deeply compassionate. That's why he mandated the vaccine and wanted everybody to get fired if they didn't take it. That's why he kicked everybody out of the military, and that's why he's looking into the Maui disaster, as John pointed out. He's deeply compassionate with profound insight. Another man who is deeply compassionate with profound insight, Ken Weaver. He's got the news for you right now.
10:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And in the last 3 minutes, there have been 4 crashes, and they're blocking your way. We've got them at Whites Creek, 24 eastbound, approaching Old Hickory Boulevard. Then in Brentwood, 65 northbound, right there at Concord, right shoulder blocked. And then in South Nashville, 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. And then Central Pike, eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard in Hermitage. They're still cleaning up after that tanker truck turned over and spilled about 1,200 gallons of diesel fuel. War on Ukraine update. The Chinese defense minister will visit Russia and Belarus in show of support. Li Shangfu departed today on a 6-day trip, during which he'll deliver an address at the Moscow Conference on International Security and meet with defense leaders from Russia and other nations. And right now in Nashville, Metro Police still investigating after 3 people were shot at an apartment complex near Nolensville Road and Harding Place overnight. 1 person died in a shootout at a gas station on Clarksville Pike late last night. This happened at the F&B market. The shooter stayed there until police arrived, claimed self-defense. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
1036 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's going on? It's Chris Hand. Join the show, 615-737-9986. Find me online, Twitter, Instagram, True Social, at Chris Hand on air. So, I don't want to relitigate this too much, as Dan Mandis would say. We don't need to relitigate the COVID pandemic. But, I had a texter, opine about Operation Warp Speed. I said, the big difference was that Trump didn't mandate it. And I've had a couple texts come in. 1916 said, "You're forgetting Trump shut the country down." Yeah, he did. But I think, and I want to be on record with this because I wasn't here when it happened. But I think it's important that you know where I'm at on all of that because it was such a monumental event. In the beginning of the pandemic, everybody was scared. Everybody was nervous. Everyone. And 2 weeks to flatten the curve didn't seem out of the realm of something that would be decent, unless you were in the weeds on event 201 and reading all the tea leaves on the internet. You probably thought 2 weeks to slow the spread made sense. It would have made more sense if we had shut down the borders immediately. It would have made more sense if we didn't have Nancy Pelosi and all those guys going to Chinatown to celebrate Chinese New Year's and say that Donald Trump was just xenophobic. But yeah, Trump shut the country down. Sure. He also put it a lot more on the state governors, and I think that there's a lot of revisionist history when it comes to Ron DeSantis, that he's the guy that opened up everything first. But he was also the guy that was pulling licenses away from businesses in Orlando for not shutting down. So mistakes were made by all. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with making a mistake, but a lot of people tried to fix their mistakes. And again, Trump tried to open the country back up around Easter. So, yes, you can opine against Operation Warp Speed. Trump never mandated it. You can opine against Trump shutting things down, and people will say, no, it wasn't Trump. It was the governors. But the revisionist history of Ron DeSantis being, some bastion of freedom and liberty, he was taking business licenses in Florida and doing just the same thing as all the other governors until he saw the poll numbers. And his handlers told him to go the other route. That's at least what my take is. I don't know about your take. 615-737-9986 if you want to be a part of that. But again, Trump was following the experts. Yes, maybe he followed the wrong experts, but he was listening to his CDC. He was listening to the people in OSHA and probably made some bad decisions. Sure. But if you were in that position with no medical background, no medical history, I would hope that you would trust the people that were there with those credentials. I know I would be inclined to listen to those credentials as well. And as they turned out, they were bad actors. They didn't have Trump's best interest at heart. We all know how it turned out. No reason to dwell on it. But just wanted to kind of get my position out there. So on Friday's broadcast of CNN's The Source, IRS whistleblower Gary Shapley made an appearance. And this is on the heels of the special counsel David Weiss, announcement. And Gary Shapley said that the announcement of U.S. Attorney David Weiss being named special counsel basically vindicates him and the other whistleblowers who testified and says that they were right all along. With his well-documented claim that Weiss didn't have full charging authority, said it contradicts repeated assertions by Weiss and Attorney General Merrick Garland that Weiss had full charging authority. But Gary Shapley, again, he's on CNN. He doesn't sound too confident that Hunter is going to face any justice.
Does the president himself now face more legal jeopardy in your view?
I can't answer that other than that there were investigative steps that clearly indicated the Hunter Biden's father, President Biden, had some type of involvement, and we just weren't allowed to follow those leads.
Were you not allowed to follow those leads because you think DOJ and the IRS wanted to shut you down as a protective measure, to protect the president, or because people were just afraid to rattle the cage? Which of them? Is there a more benign explanation?
Look, I can't get into their motivations because I just simply don't know what their motivation was. But I do know that any typical investigation, when you have text messages, when you have discussions of 10% going to family members of a subject,
the big guy.
Any tax investigation, any financial investigation, you have to go there. And any other investigation, we would have went there.
I mean, that's Gary Shapley on CNN. He doesn't sound confident that Joe or Hunter are going to be facing justice. But he does, you know, he laments on the fact that David Weiss has been flip-flopping the entire time.
Well, I know that on October 7th, 2022, he told that group in that room, as corroborated by another individual that was in that room, that he requested special counsel authority after going to D.C. President Biden, U.S. Attorney, appointed U.S. Attorney, to have charges for 2014, 2015 years there, and that he was denied that authority.
So he was denied that authority. He requested it, and he was denied that authority. Interesting.
From Maine DOJ, and he was told to follow the process. Now you discuss these letters on June 7th of this year and June 30th. The June 7th letter says, I have full authority. That was before Special Agent Ziegler and I testified in front of the House Ways and Means Committee. And then the June 30th letter is released after our testimony was voted out by that committee and made public. And it was clear that United States Attorney Weiss change his story because he says, I have full authority to charge.
Flip-flopping. David Weiss has been flip-flopping.
The June 30th letter, he echoes that, saying I have full authority to charge. And it's a very important paragraph then he has right then where he says, after that, he says, I don't have the authority to charge outside of Delaware. I would have to partner with a U.S. attorney where a venue exists. And this announcement yesterday, it's absolute, unquestionable vindication of Special Agent Ziegler and I coming forward, because this is the crux of the issue that we brought forward to House Ways and Means Committee.
Yeah, and they are absolutely vindicated, 100%. It's hard to say that they're not after David Weiss was appointed as special counsel. You know, but a lot of people aren't exactly thrilled about this, and with good reason. It seems like this is just going to delay and cover up the investigation. And with these special counsels, it just seems like they're all wasted tax dollars and no results. Big price tag, little results. So, you know, I don't think anything is going to come of it. Nothing good at the very least. And Peter Schweizer was on with Hannity Friday night. And according to Schweizer, he said that Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca business is absolutely centered around Joe Biden. We all know that. But this was what Schweizer said. He said, I mean, look, really, from the beginning, Joe Biden is the center of all this. Think when Hunter starts the business, Rosemont Seneca. That does the deal in China. That gets him hooked up in Ukraine. He starts it in 2009, just months after his father becomes vice president of the United States. Up until that point, he had been a lobbyist for entities in Delaware lobbying his own father. So the entire business enterprise was centered around his father's elevation to the vice presidency. And then you look at the deals in China. Those deals got secured days after he showed up in China on Air Force Two with his father. So can you separate Biden business from Joe's political position in power? Absolutely not. There's no separation there. It clearly follows that career trajectory. And anybody that says different, they're lying to themselves. 100%. That's my opinion. Peter Schweizer goes on, the notion that Hunter Biden just shows up and shakes hands and that that just leads these foreign nationals to throw money at him is laughable. These foreign nationals are sending money to Joe, to Hunter Biden and the Biden family because they know it's going to give them special access and possible favors with the vice president of the United States. 100%. That's all this has been. It's all been influence peddling. It's all been about access. Former U.S. Attorney Andy McCarthy says that this entire special counsel investigation is fake. It's a farce. Nothing is going to come of it.
This is a sham. There is no special counsel investigation, and there is no Biden investigation. The special counsel regulations, what makes a special counsel special is that you're a lawyer who's brought in from outside the United States government, not just outside the Justice Department, outside the government. This U.S. attorney is being appointed, notwithstanding that he is an attorney who's a top official in the Biden Justice Department, and Garland made clear is going to remain a top official.
So the man is already a top official. He's going to remain a top official. The special counsel is supposed to come from outside the government. That part I did laugh at because, during the Russia hoax, Robert Mueller was the special counsel, and he wasn't exactly an outside the government kind of figure. But I digress.
In the Biden Justice Department. This is the Biden Justice Department's vehicle for maintaining control of an investigation that they are not pursuing. They've had the case for 5 years. They've never indicted it. They're strategically allowing the statute of limitations to run to the point that the 2014 and 2015 conduct, which covers most of the $21 million that the congressional investigation report showed this week, that's already time barred. And it's time barred because David Weiss himself decided to let those charges die rather than bring an indictment.
But I thought he was a Trump-appointed attorney. Oh, weird. David Weiss is the one letting all of this stuff expire. This is the swamp. This is absolutely the swamp. This is what people talk about when they say the uniparty. Oh, this man was a Trump-appointed attorney. He's just a conservative. No, he's just a swamp creature, and this is what swamp creatures do. They look out for other swamp creatures. None of this should shock any of us. I know it doesn't shock you, because clearly none of us have any faith that anything was ever going to come of the Biden crime family, even with the House and Oversight Committee. Nobody thought anything was going to happen. Even with all these articles of impeachment being filed, nobody believes anything's going to happen. I don't want to be blackpilled. Nothing's going to happen. I had a glimmer of hope there for like a day and a half. Ask Mac, how long was my glimmer of hope, Mac?
Ooh, was it even a day and a half?
I think I had a day and a half.
Yeah, you're right. It was probably about a day and a half, and then it just tanked.
I mean, it was out quick. But nobody feels like anything is going to happen. And I'm sorry. All this special counsel is going to do is going to allow the White House to not comment on any of this. They're just going to say, oh, we can't. There's an ongoing investigation. Peter Ducey says just that.
Do you think this insulates the White House press shop from having to delve into this at all?
I think if they see something that is publicly out there that they believe maybe changes the narrative, they will still engage, but I wouldn't expect to get their opinions.
I wouldn't expect. No kidding. Have we gotten any answers about anything from the White House this entire presidency? I mean, just all the way back from day one. I don't think we've gotten anything worthwhile, anything of value from these people. Not shocking. Ned Ryan says that this DOJ is basically just running a protection racket for the Bidens, and it's hard to disagree with him because it feels like a protection racket.
Biden's DOJ is shopping for a judge that will rubber stamp their corruption, the DOJ's corruption, the Biden corruption, and help with the cover-up to make this all go away. I mean, when the sweetheart deal fell apart, the whole point of that, Jesse, was to make Hunter Biden go away, but also to block the investigation from continuing all the way to the big guy. That was the point of the sweetheart deal. This is their next step. This is the DOJ's next step in the protection racket of the Biden family to find somebody who will rubber stamp it, give a veneer of respectability to it, and say, hey, look, we looked into it. We had a judge clear everything. It's all good. But in fact, we know this has nothing to do with the truth. It has nothing to do with justice at all. It has everything with the DOJ using its awesome power to protect its allies and punish its opponents.
Yeah, and he's referencing the fact that David Weiss's sweetheart deal fell apart, and now they're looking for a new judge and a new venue for that criminal case for Hunter Biden, and they're looking at D.C. or California. Oh, he'll get a fair shake in D.C. or California. Unbelievable. This is what the Bidens do. They're just slime balls. Absolute slime balls. Scumbags. Scumbaggery is afoot. Everybody in the Department of Justice is on board with the scumbaggery. Everybody in the Biden family is on board with the scumbaggery. And none of us are surprised. Nobody's shocked. It's part and parcel of living in the current democracy of 2023 in America. And people wonder why songs like Rich Men North of Richmond go viral. It's because we look at what's happening in D.C., we can tell you're all slime balls, and you look at us with a straight face and say, nah, we're all good. We're not doing anything wrong. All right, 1050, Super Talk 99.7, WTN.
NASA says it's all in on climate action. Fulton County, Georgia, where the next indictment of former President Trump could come as soon as today. These stories and more at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. So special counsel's happening. But, you know, there's no evidence that Joe Biden ever committed a crime. I mean, he said it himself quite a few times.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
There's been no indication of any conflict of interest from Ukraine or anywhere else. Period. Let's focus on the problem. Focus on this man, what he's doing, that no president has ever done.
You're a damn liar, man.
That company wanted access to you.
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that? Who said that? There is no controversy about my son. It's all a lie.
It's all a lie. There's absolutely no controversy. Who said that?
Jack.
Who said that? I mean, it's an absolute farce to think that there is no controversy. But I did want to point out, before Joe Biden went to the beach on Friday, he actually stopped and took some questions from reporters. You may have missed this, so I grabbed the audio. Oh, my bad. My bad. He actually just ran away from all the reporters. Sorry about that. Of course, Joe Biden doesn't answer questions. He's a senior citizen. He can barely hear. He can barely speak. Jeez. These rich men north of Richmond. Unbelievable. And we haven't had a press briefing in a while either. Like, are we going to get any answers about any of this? Spoiler alert. No, we won't. That's the democracy in 2023. This is the Chris Hand Show. Be a part of the show on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. Or you can find me online, Twitter, Instagram, Truth Social, at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. It's 99.7 WTN.
$11 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Monday morning. Got the full forecast in 2 minutes. Officials from NASA and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration concur with scientists in Europe who last week said July goes down as the hottest month on record.
Folks, Mother Nature is sending us a message. And that message is we better act now.
That's NASA Administrator Bill Nelson, who, along with other weather agencies, working to create the Earth Information Center, he says will use many satellites and resources to track climate data in real time to help encourage climate action. We're monitoring Fulton County, Georgia, where a criminal indictment could come down as soon as today against former President Trump. The DA there presenting her case after a 2.5-year investigation into alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia. Meanwhile, buzz still coming out of Iowa, where the 2024 Republican field made their way to get FaceTime with voters, including Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who might have been upstaged.
It was Donald Trump who stole the spotlight, crowds cheering as his private jet flew over the fairgrounds. At the time, his closest rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, was flipping pork chops and burgers. As he left the tent,
how do you close the gap with the former president?
You work hard. We've now done 38 of the 99 counties.
Trump has not visited Iowa nearly as much this year. But when he arrived, he brought the Florida Republicans who were supporting him over their own governor.
That's Rachel Scott reporting. And right now in Tennessee, Metro Police investigating, or actually, I should say Putnam County Sheriff's Department investigating, following reports of a possible fentanyl overdose at the jail. Fox 17 says 4 inmates were treated, then taken to the ER. Deputies say none of them had serious injuries. And in Knoxville, Peyton Manning is returning to UT as a faculty member. The NFL Hall of Famer and former Vols quarterback's been appointed a professor of practice in the College of Communication and Information. He's going to teach sports reporting, video production and performance, leadership and communication, and public speaking starting this semester. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
.11:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, I've been saving this. This is. I didn't want to bury the lead. I feel like this is the biggest story of the day. There was an unbelievable, profound, thought-provoking, exquisite interview with Kamala Harris and Al Sharpton over the weekend. Wow. It was so deep. It's the kind of interview that, like, it's a moment in time, if you will, that you'll never forget. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine that at 20 years from now, my daughter will say to me, "Dad, where were you where were you when you saw Al Sharpton interview Kamala Harris?" I'm going to be like, "You know what, hon? I was in the living room. It was about 7 o'clock on a Sunday, and the lights were dim a little bit. We had just gotten you kids to bed, and me and your mom, we sat there, and we gathered around, and we listened, because that's what you have to do with Kamala. You have to listen.
Just gotta listen.
You just gotta listen. Like, you know, she's so she's so bright, and well, she's the best female vice president we've ever had, is what I'm gonna say.
Easily.
Easily. There is no competition. So Kamala Harris gets a softball interview with of course Al Sharpton. You know, and one of the first questions he asked her, is she worried about voter turnout?
Are you concerned about turnout, especially among blacks in the election? You hear these polls. Are you concerned about that?
I am always concerned about turnout, whatever election we are talking about. Because let us, in a moment where we thank everybody for what they did to turn out in 2020, appreciate that it takes an effort to turn out to vote.
It does. It takes an effort to turn out to vote. And she, I think that she nailed it when she said, I am always concerned. I'm always concerned. And you should be concerned with the black vote because as you can see, there's real issues with the black vote. In Chicago, they're threatening violence in the streets against illegal immigrants. The African American community is seeing what these policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are doing to their communities in real time. And when they're asked out in the streets, what you'd say to Joe Biden, this is what the black community says.
If Joe Biden was here right now, what would you tell him?
Stop passing out everywhere. That's number one. And number two, vote for Trump.
So, I mean, I would absolutely be concerned that you're losing the vote with the black community. That's just me. I'm not a member of the black community. I'm just an observer. And as it just seems like they're losing it. They're losing it. They're losing those votes. And Trump had record unemployment with the black community. Biden has record inflation, record rent hikes, record everything. So many records. But, she goes on to say, what the essential ingredients are for progress in our country. And this is deep. Right here.
Again, if you talk about the ingredients, the essential ingredients in a movement that is about progress, the coalition is one of the most essential, which is grounded in the understanding and belief that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. And also a certain level of faith to just understand and be guided by...
I have no faith.
...knowing that we all...
She's thinking.
...have a common purpose and a common destiny.
Okay.
And so let's do this together, all right?
Preach.
Yeah, let's do it together.
Yeah.
I mean, she leaves out the fact that this coalition that they've put together in the Democrat Party is fighting each other tooth and nail. You look at Dearborn, Michigan, you have the alphabet mafia, the LGBTQs, at odds with the Muslim community over the books that they're putting in the classrooms. The Biden administration are telling parents that their kids don't belong to them. You have illegal immigrants in blue cities overrunning them. And in like Chicago, like I just mentioned, the African-American community is saying if the harassment and robberies keep up, we're going to take it to the streets. So yes, the coalition is essential. It's essential. And that's the key ingredient for this movement of progress. But, Kamala Harris, she knows people look up to her.
But the thing about being a role model, people watch what you do to see if it lines up with what you say.
You hear Al Sharpton there? Like that one hit his soul.
He said,
There's Ken Weaver.
That's just something he had for lunch.
That's right. They're going to look at you, Kamala.
But the thing about being a role model, people watch what you do to see if it lines up with what you say.
How profound.
That's what I'm saying. When I knew that they were going to have this interview, it's like 20 years from now, Dad, where were you when Al Sharpton interviewed Kamala Harris? And when she asked that question, I'm going to look at her, I'm going to say, I remember. Such commentary. And she knows people are going to look up to her. That's part of being a role model.
One day, some young lady is going to look at your picture, the way you look at Thurgood picture and John Lewis picture. What do you hope they look at and say?
I hope they say that
Thinking.
they will say, I can do anything, even if it hasn't been done before.
Wait, here it comes, Mac.
I will not be burdened by what has been. I will believe in what can be.
She said the thing. She said the thing.
She can't.
She can't get. My wife pointed this out to me. She got the questions before the interview. She approved the questions before the interview, and she can't help but say the thing.
I will not be burdened by what has been. I will believe in what can be.
If you're just joining us and you're keeping score at home, that's the thing that she says all the
I
time.
can imagine what can be and be unburdened by what has been. You know?
What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be.
All right, can you do me a favor, Mac?
By what has been.
Yeah.
Send an email and see if I can get approved for some iCloud storage because I keep having to add to this montage, and I feel like I'm going to run out of space soon. All right? Send that up the chain for me.
Okay, cool. We'll make sure you're unburdened by what it's been.
Unburdened by who we have been. What can be, unburdened by what has been.
I mean,
Where we can be.
this woman gets an absolute softball interview with Al Sharpton. She lands the questions before the interview, and she still says the thing.
I will not be burdened by what has been. I will believe in what can be.
Oh, thank you, Kamala.
I mean, come on.
What is she doing? How unserious of a person are we dealing with? You know? But listen, this is a woman who wakes up. She wakes up every day and she thinks about democracy.
So one of the things one of the things I wake up thinking about is not only what an erosion of democracy will mean for the American people, what it will mean invariably for people around the world. Can you imagine?
I think the big problem is that we're tired of worrying about people around the world when we have homeless people on the streets. We have homeless veterans. We have fentanyl pouring over the border. We have an absolutely open border. And that's the problem with these rich men and women north of Richmond, right? This is why the Oliver Anthony song goes completely viral, because she literally thinks that we care about the rest of the world when we have all of these problems at home. I want to go back to isolationism. Like, stop being the world police. Stop worrying about everybody in the entire world. Can we fix what's happening here first? Please. Like, our kids and our grandkids are depending on us to fix what's happening here first. And we don't. We're too worried about everything else and the optics of saving the world.
Will mean invariably for people around the world. Can you imagine?
I don't care. I don't
Chris,
care.
Could you imagine?
I can't even imagine caring. Like, things are sad everywhere. Things are so sad. But like, she's worried about, can you imagine around the world? Meanwhile, they're going to ban gas stoves, ban gas engines, and make, 6-year-olds mine for lithium and cobalt in the Congo. Like, what about those people around the world? Shh. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about those people. Democracy.
Gosh. She says nothing, man.
She says so little.
Ugh.
And you know what? We're going to be labeled as misogynists for attacking the best female vice president we've ever had. This is ridiculous. We have one of the most unserious people ever who only got her way to the top. Everybody knows how she got her way to the top.
I don't know.
That's the official answer on record. We don't know we don't know. But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the density of her skull to think we care about what's going on in the rest of the world when we have so many problems at home. Like, I don't care about Ukraine. I'm so sorry. War is hell. It's sad. People are losing their lives and businesses. I get it. But dude, our border is absolutely wide open. Absolutely wide open. The crime in blue cities, unreal. Like, as a parent, you have to worry now about kids picking up dollars on the ground or picking up things that look like candy in case there's fentanyl on it. Like, you have to have the conversation with your kid. Don't pick up a dollar on the street, because if a kid touches fentanyl, they're going to overdose and die. And they're worried about saving democracy around the world.
Makes me think of that verse, first take the plank out of your eye to then clearly see the speck in your brother's or whatever it is.
100%.
Yeah.
But, I mean, listen, she's very proud of what she's done being the best female vice president we've ever had.
And I could go on and on and on. There are many things that I'm proud of that we have done that have been, I think, in many ways, and I say this humbly.
Humbly. There's many things that she's been proud of, and she says this humbly. I just want to make sure everybody knows that she's humbly proud of this.
There are many things that I'm proud of that we have done that have been, I think, in many ways, and I say this humbly, that have been transformational for our country.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can both agree that this presidency, this regime has been transformational for the country. Humbly speaking, very transformational. The greatest redistribution of wealth, very, very transformational. The opening of our borders and the invasion going on, so transformational. The record inflation, unbelievably transformational. Humbly speaking, very transformational. I've said this a couple times. I often thought that Democrats made the wrong choice because they were dumb, and people make dumb decisions. I truly believe that they're making a lot of these decisions now on purpose. Instead of being willfully ignorant, I think that they're truly malicious. And she says it right here. She knows that this has been transformational.
That have been transformational for our country.
They have been transformational for our country. Transformational in so many ways, but in none of the ways she's going to brag about. Think about your life in 2017, 2018 versus your life now. Has it gotten better? Humbly speaking, it's been transformational. Humbly speaking. The impact that this corrupt regime has had on our way of life has been humbly transformational. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. 1538 says, does she even know how to spell humbly? Probably not. 1349 said, larger emphasis on trans of the transformational. Yes. Indeed. 0604 texted in, said Kamala Harris was not wrong when she said they've been very transformational. That might be the first true thing that she has ever said. Yep, 100%.
And to not be burdened by what has been.
You can't be burdened by what has been.
Can't, man.
Because then you won't see what can be. Jeez. It's a clown show. An absolute clown show. 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love it when you're a part of the convo. 615-737-9986. Follow me online. Instagram, Twitter, Truth Social, at Chris Hand on Air. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friend Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Listen, I know it's hard to find someone you trust when it comes to large home repairs because these home repairs are transformational. So find someone that you trust for these transformational changes in your home. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company, but they have big service and big results. I trust Jeff Eddy and his crew to do what's right, and they've proved this time and time again. I got to have lunch with Jeff Eddy last week. He's a good guy, Christian guy, honest, hardworking, big family, and he's proud of the work he does, and it's easy to see why. If you're trying to make a decision to repair or replace your system, and even if you've already talked to somebody else, call Jeff Eddy and his crew. They'll walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision. Now, most companies are going to pressure you to just replace your heating or cooling system because they make more money that way. But Jeff Eddy and his team, again, they're the most honest team in heating and cooling, and they're just going to tell you what to do and how to make the right decision. Plus, Efficient offers up to 18 months, same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an elite pro partner with Rheem. Go to efficienthvac.net or call Jeff Eddy right now at 615-784-4424. That's 615-784-4424.
NASA holding a big press conference this morning in D.C., joining other weather agencies, warning about climate change and football. Alabama didn't get one vote. Woo! Details coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't make another mistake like you did the last newscast with Peyton. Ken Weaver learns from his mistakes. The current administration, not so much. Dan Goldman, old Dan Goldman, he's back out there and he's still holding water for the Bidens. He's still defending Joe Biden, saying he did nothing wrong. Over the weekend, Dan Goldman was out there literally just running cover for the Biden crime family.
Shouldn't President Biden have realized what Hunter was doing here, getting on the phone, talking speakerphone with his business associates? Did he at the very least show a major lapse in judgment and a blind spot with his son and how he handled this?
Look, I think that same witness also made very clear that they never discussed business, that Hunter Biden was trying to promote an illusion of access to his father for his own reasons. That's Hunter Biden, and you can make it whatever judgment you want to make about whether that was appropriate or not.
How is this guy still going out there saying it was the illusion of access when the transcripts proved that illusion of access was baked into Dan Goldman's questioning of Devin Archer? Weird. It's always mental and verbal gymnastics with these Democrats. You know, they can't just actually say, yeah, it's bad. It looks pretty bad. They don't. They just continue to say, there's no evidence. Dan goes on.
And yet, notwithstanding all of the time, effort, and all of the moving goalposts, there's no evidence connecting President Biden to any of his son's business dealings.
Oh, it's moving goalposts, guys. There's no evidence. I mean, come on. If you want to look at evidence, we're going to need to see real evidence, like bank records or the laptop or text messages or flying to China on Air Force Two and securing these deals. There's no real evidence. Stop moving the goalposts, you conspiracy theorists.
And you can sing all you want and make all sorts of accusations, but the fact of the matter is that President Biden, there's been no evidence to show that he's been involved in anything. And so Hunter Biden will be treated by the Department of Justice as he should be.
Oh, weird.
But Congress needs to stop investigating a private citizen and stop this fishing expedition to try to link President Biden to Hunter Biden's conduct when there is no evidence to support that.
Oh, it's a fishing expedition, you guys. They're just fishing. They're looking for this stuff. They're not getting anything. If this is a fishing expedition, it's the exact opposite of Dan's fishing trip over the weekend. Dan Mandis went fishing for catfish over the weekend, and he told us that he spent, was it about 6 hours and he didn't catch one catfish? That's what Dan Goldman wants us to think that this fishing expedition is.
Yes.
This is not a Dan Mandis fishing expedition. I mean, they're literally coming up with evidence and new revelations every time they hit the field. But, what do I know? Hunter's a private citizen. Leave him alone. And then, by the way, towards the end, Dan Goldman basically admits that David Weiss has Hunter's best interest at heart.
So even though I'm sure Hunter Biden has confidence that David Weiss will not charge him with additional crimes, they have no confidence that if Donald Trump wins, that he would weaponize the Department of Justice to charge Hunter Biden, go back and charge him. And that's why this plea agreement has broken down, because of the threat of Donald Trump's weaponization of the Department of Justice if he were to become president.
Oh, it's the orange man's fault. That's why it fell apart. Orange man bad. If you're keeping score at home, just jot this down. Orange man bad. It's 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and still cleaning up that diesel fuel spill there in Hermitage, Central Pike, eastbound at Old Hickory Boulevard. And looks like we've got a crash blocking 24 eastbound at I-440. It's stop-and-go traffic from exit 52. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson says the agency's all in for doing something, he says, about climate change, with July going down as the hottest month on record, according to scientists.
Just look around you, and you'll see what's happened.
He says NASA, along with other weather agencies, is going to create the Earth Information Center that will use satellites and resources to track water elevation, average temperatures, air pollution, methane emission in real time. Football! The Associated Press preseason top 25 poll is out, and look who's number one. The Dogs from Georgia. Number 2, Michigan. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Bama. Didn't even get one first-place vote. The rest of the SEC in the top 25 is LSU at number 5, Tennessee at number 12, even though Tennessee beat both Alabama and LSU. Ole Miss is number 22, and the Aggies of Texas A&M at number 23. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
If you have a 401k at work, chances are you've seen something called a target date fund. Now, the idea behind a target date fund is if you're going to retire in a specific year, let's say 2030, all you do is put all your money in that fund and you don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it is the idea. Now, one of the things that I warn people about regarding these types of funds is many times they're not nearly as diversified as you think. When we look at investing, when we look at diversification, we want to own really small companies, really large companies, really growth-oriented, really value-oriented companies, and diversify between these different market areas. Target date funds tend to focus more attention down here for a really basic reason. It sells better. Because you're investing in very big, well-known U.S. companies, what happens is investors tend to like to look like the market, as we say. And the problem, though, is when we do that is we can go very long periods of time. 1966 through 1982 is one example. More recently, 2000 through 2012, where large U.S. stocks had no return, where other market segments actually did quite well. So one of the things that happens is when we invest in a target date fund, we may be overly concentrated and have more risk than we really realize. So if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning and how we educate investors, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call, or you can call 615-851-1950.
We are live at J Street Korean Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. But you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing a show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Chris Hand. And I think absolutely the biggest story over the weekend from Friday to now has to be Oliver Anthony and the song Rich Men North of Richmond. It's been going viral everywhere. A little background on Oliver Anthony. He is a country boy. He's from Farmville, Virginia, which is just south of Scottsville. And my wife is from that area. good small towns. I actually spent 4th of July in Scottsville, which is like a neighboring town. I love it there. Very country. Not the same Virginia that you get in Northern Virginia. In fact, it's like two completely separate states. 100% separate. So Oliver Anthony blew up on Friday. And this is a big win for culture because this song was basically discovered and then went absolutely viral and is now the #1 song on iTunes in all genres. The song is called Rich Men North of Richmond. I'm going to play it for you, and then we're going to talk about it. This is Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't this shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do, 'cause your dollar ain't this shit, and it's taxed to no end, 'cause the rich men north of Richmond. I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay.
That's Oliver Anthony and Rich Men North of Richmond on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's so crazy. I thought my days of playing songs on the radio were over, and here I am in Nashville playing country bangers. So that's fun. That's something I didn't know would be on my to-do list when I took the job at Super Talk 99.7. But I'm grateful for this song. I'm grateful that this went viral overnight. I'm grateful that something this organic can happen and be such a big win for the culture. Not only does this song go #1 on iTunes, but all other songs of his have also cracked the top 10. I think right now the current count is 5 of his songs are in the top 10 on iTunes. Rich Men North of Richmond is the name of that song. And again, #1 on the iTunes all-genre music chart, beating out a number of pop stars, including Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, beat out Morgan Wallen. And this song is massive. It's massive. You can hear the pain in his voice. And when you hear him saying so much in so little time, that song is 3 minutes and 10 seconds long, front to back. And he touches on Epstein Island. He touches on artificial intelligence. He touches on the welfare state. He touches on the suicide epidemic. There's nothing that this guy didn't touch on in that 3 minutes. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And he touches on things people don't talk about.
Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, because all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
I have 2 friends that have committed suicide recently in the last 5 years or so, and both of them had young kids. I'm sure that you probably know somebody that's also committed suicide, and there's an absolute suicide epidemic, and it always seems to be good young men that do it. It's terrible. It's awful, and nobody says anything about it. Nobody talks about that. But it takes a song like this that holds up a mirror to our current culture to highlight, what people are ignoring. I'm so happy this song went viral. This is the line everybody's talking about from the song right here.
Wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere.
I mean, dude, fire, absolute fire. Oh, yeah. While the Biden administration wants to ban your gas car and push you to green energy, this guy's highlighting, wish politicians would care about minors and not just minors on an island somewhere. The political elite. This is a song that's anti-elite. If you were on the flight logs, this is anti-you. When are they going to release those flight logs? I don't hold my breath. I bet we will see criminal charges against Hunter and Joe before they ever release the flight logs. I'm getting a lot of super texts in. What's the guy's name and the name of the song? That was Oliver Anthony, Rich Men North of Richmond. It is a cultural moment that we need to celebrate as conservatives. This song went from nowhere to #1 on iTunes. He scrambled at the very last minute to even get his songs on streaming services once it started going viral on Friday. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And when I'm listening to this and I'm seeing it happen in real time, the cynic in me wants to feel like this is forced. This is controlled opposition, right? That's just how I operate. I oftentimes envision the worst possible scenario instead of the best. But it was when I got to see Oliver Anthony online performing this song in front of a group of a few thousand people in Currituck, North Carolina. He said he performed at this same venue in June for 20 people, and this performance was a lot different. But when I watched him, he did something that stood out to me that made me feel like, no, this is organic, this is real, and this is a real, true person. He opened up a Bible, and he started quoting scripture.
I just had something I felt compelled to share with you. This is in Psalm 37, 12 through 20. The wicked plot against the righteous and gnash their teeth at them, but the Lord laughs at the wicked, for he knows their day is coming. The wicked draw the sword and bend the bow to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose ways are upright. But their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Better the little that have righteousness than the wealth of many wicked. For the power of the wicked will be broken, but the Lord upholds the righteous. The blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster, they will not wither. In days of famine, they will have plenty. But the wicked will perish. Though the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field, they will be consumed, and they will go up in smoke.
And the minute he chokes up reading scripture, I just thought to myself, this is real. This isn't fake. This isn't controlled opposition. This is a real moment that we're witnessing. These lyrics are authentic. They're so sharp. And he says so much so quickly. And the crowd that he's performing in front of while he's doing this this pop-up show. I think it was like a craft festival in Currituck, Tennessee. Currituck, North Carolina. The crowd that went to go see him had already memorized the song and knew all the words as he was singing.
My God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down.
I mean, how can you not get chills listening to this song? It's a moment that we need to witness, celebrate, and realize that, like, we're winning the culture war. This proves that we're winning the culture war. Jason Aldean, Try That in a Small Town, was a moment in time, but Jason Aldean was a household name. Jason Aldean's wife was already politically active. We knew about Jason Aldean. We knew about their agenda. We knew about their positions on a lot of things. This is new. This man went from obscurity to being the number one song in music over the span of a weekend. It's absolutely insane. So, as we close out the show today, I do want to point out that with all of the bad news, we're winning. We're still winning. The propaganda from the left-wing media would be absolutely useless if we weren't winning. If we were losing, they wouldn't need to propagandize us. If we were losing, we wouldn't have moments like this from Oliver Anthony in Richmond, north of Richmond. We wouldn't have this authentic, real, culture-shifting moment. So, I'm going to play the song one more time for you because it's awesome, and I have a chance to play just a banger of a country song in Nashville, and I won't pass that up. I just won't. So this is Oliver Anthony, Richmond, north of Richmond, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't this, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I wish politicians would look out for minors, and not just minors on an island somewhere. Lord, we got folks in the street, ain't got nothing to eat, and the obese milking welfare. Well, God, if you're 5'3" and you're 300 pounds, taxes ought not to pay for your bags of fudge rounds. Young men are putting themselves 6 feet in the ground, 'cause all this damn country does is keep on kicking them down. Lord, it's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in the new world with an whole soul. These rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't this, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, north of Richmond. I'm selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullish pay.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is Chris Hand, Matt Murphy joining me in studio. Matt, you need my help with something?
I do, actually. I do. Hello, Chris.
We have 2 minutes. Let me help you.
So the wife went to see Barbie over the weekend, and she's now a transgendered communist, and I need your help with it.
Is this why she's not coming to the Super Talk Live event?
I don't know. I think
tomorrow night.
I think actually she's packing her stuff up this morning. I think she's moving to San Francisco. I don't know. I don't know what happened. No, she's not.
Many such cases.
She reported. She wanted me to report to you that everything's okay. That you're right. That it's not for kids.
It is not for kids.
It's not one. But she's not a kid.
But it's marketed towards kids.
No, it's PG-13.
By the sheer title and character, it is marketed towards kids.
It's PG-13.
I don't agree.
We will, one of these days, we'll repair the damage that Barbie has done to our friendship.
One of these days, you're going to have to admit that I'm right. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.